in the sun, how you like that? Yeah.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another episode of On Point with Saadi Makhdoom. Today, my guest is someone very, very special. I am honored to have Mr. DanRam, one of our Europe's top public speaker, MC, and host. He has ventured into multiple things, so I have to take some help with my content that I have written because I don't want to do some injustice with this introduction. So DanRam has been a global MC executive coach for one of the top executives and also leaders across Europe. He is a brand name for all the top fintech brands and events. He is the first choice for big brands like Brett's and Pretzels, TEDx. We're talking about Business Economic Forum. He is somebody that has shared the stage with names like Barack Obama, Richard Branson, Reid Hoffman, President of Switzerland, Jessica Alba, Jake Paul, Guy Kawasaki, and Satya Nadella. And this is just the beginning. He's an investor. He's a futurist. We're talking about somebody that has taken the opportunity from every setback or challenge life has thrown into him. May it be a lion, may it be the pandemic. He has turned the pandemic into becoming one of the first global virtual MCs and is leading a lot of brands across that transition because it has been challenging. So DanRam, welcome to On Point.
Yay, thank you for having me. Can you just do all the talking? Because you talk about me better than I talk about me.
Thanks a lot, Dan, for that. Look, we're live in three different avenues. It's our LinkedIn community, our YouTube community, and also the Facebook community. And I would want to start with a lot of what you're hearing me, the energy, the enthusiasm, also the spark has been collected, some tapped into from the source that I have on the video today. And I wanted to cultivate the same kind of spark in today, your side. And this is what today's session is going to be. I wanted to start with Dan. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. It's late at night. It's past 10 p.m. here in Germany, but it's been a very satisfying and fulfilling day. I never take a day for granted. And today I have maxed out on everything that makes me me. And so I'm excited to end this night with you and with our audience that's watching and those who will watch and replay later on. And then I can't wait to sleep and be refreshed and start a new day again.
Amazing. Thanks a lot for this, Jan. Because look, I also believe, I've learned this from you that the grind never ends. And this is very obvious. Monday night, we're just starting the, week. And I think this is what I've, seen from your stories. Mostly it was initially 4Gs, but I've seen that it is now 5Gs. But, it is
5G morning routine. It's super important. Do you have a morning routine?
I had implemented the morning routine right after I told you that I had that downfall. I think it was very important for me. I think it was that click of a moment when I realized that it's not about the skills. It's not about the intellect. More of it's always the discipline that sets people apart. And that was a big realization, I think, in the last 3.5 years that I had.
Discipline,
and that was like,
or consistency. It's just about keep on doing it. But yeah, the morning routine I promoted on Mondays because most people hate their Mondays. But I do it every single day. So for those who don't know, the 5Gs is spending time on the 5 things that refresh and refuel me. It's God, gym, goals, growth, and gratitude. I think they speak for themselves, but I do something of each of those 5. And I find that it really awakens the physical, the emotional, the spiritual, the creational, and the professional sides of me. And that's why I picked those 5. And I try to do about 90 minutes of that every morning.
Yep. And the best part about that is, I've just downloaded your 5G sheet from, one of your posts and links from that blog. And that helps me just keep a very good track of if I am making sure that I'm covering all avenues. And that's something that I'll also encourage all of you to do. Go to Dan's profile. I'm going to share his socials. He's very active on almost all social media profiles, but it's also our lucky day because today Dan has also launched the I think there was €100 voucher for the mindset coach, and that was something that I personally signed up for. It was like a bonus Monday thing, so I was like, that's definitely not to be missed. Made my Monday really really bright to start with. But yeah, it's like has been a pleasure, and I just realized you usually are traveling, so most of your stories will either be traveling to a certain city or from the airport. So that is something which is, I think, very much connected with the brand of DanRam. What, have you moved to Germany, or tell us about your current or new ventures?
I'm all about evolution. I'm all about what the next step is. You and I met when I was living in Ireland, and Ireland was such an important time in my life to build a platform and a foundation. And then I was fully nomadic, splitting my time between UAE, specifically in Dubai, and India during the pandemic. And then this really sweet opportunity came up to do a PhD. Now, the PhD scares me tremendously, which is why I had to say yes, because I think life is about stepping out of the comfort zone. I've had many stories far more terrifying than facing a PhD, but I absolutely love it. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to take this challenge. And so the PhD is what brought me to Germany in the first place. And of course, I've been working here for many years as an embed host. And so it all came together, and it's coming together even more beautifully. I just found a beautiful home outside of Cologne, between Cologne and Dusseldorf. I got my team living in the house with me. My peak performance coach, as well as my content creator, live here with me. And we're building an amazing team unit, working together. So yeah, I love it. It's great. It's the new chapter of trying to be in a home. So right now I'm in a home, and you're right. Mostly I'm in hotels. I do about, I don't know, 180 to 200 days in hotels, and so a year. So it's just kind of strange to be in a house, but it's nice. It's
Yeah.
mine.
Yeah,
It's
and
mine.
it's like, look, I also am going to cover some other parts of, how has Germany been, but I wanted to start with, something that I personally took from you when I was, when we first met. I think it was almost 3.5. I wouldn't even say it's more than 3.5. I think it was almost 4 years ago, and
Right.
we met, and I think it was two Daniels working their magic together, because I've seen I followed you, and I've seen Daniel Dune start his own media empire.
Mhm.
He's also
Yeah.
doing great stuff, and that was very very impactful for me. I was like, wow, the way you guys led that, the way you guys took initiative, also massively took all the, I would say, all the risks, because at the moment when there are things everybody's looking for certainty, you guys were taking challenges, and I would say experimenting with real time avenues which nobody had tapped into. I wanted to know, at that time when you were here in Ireland and you started, was it here in Ireland when you started becoming like invited to do being an MC or hosting events and also being a public speaker?
Yeah, it was one of the first times that I got to do it professionally. I
Mhm.
mean, like anyone in school, I had to do class presentations. I took part in theater and drama. I played music. So I was performing and I was on stage, but I wasn't doing it professionally, nor did I know it was even an option to do it professionally.
Yeah.
I've always enjoyed facilitating. I've always enjoyed being number two. So I like to be the sidekick that makes other people look good and feel good. And I didn't know I could get paid to do it. And so it was in Ireland where that happened.
Yep. And can you tell us, like, because that's the most asked questions. How does one become a public speaker?
Oh, that's a good one. I am not going to lie. I never lie. Okay. It's not my thing. Public speaking seems to have suddenly become like a career goal for a lot of people. I think it's important that we all get better at communication,
Mhm.
but I don't know if we should all become public speakers. So, what I define as a public or professional speaker is someone who's able to earn a significant amount of their revenue through speaking. And for that to happen, there's a couple of different avenues. One, you should be the best in your field. This is like a top founder or CEO of a company, a best-selling author, or something of that sort, a scientist, with a patent. Or second, you must have done something significant, maybe beaten a world record or scaled a mountain faster than anyone else, or discovered something in the bottom of the oceans, something significant. The third category seems to be the most common category, and this is where people just like listening to you. There's something about your tone, your style, your story that people relate with, and really you're feeding on empathy. There's something that the audience really connects with the speaker. To me, these seem to be the three major trajectories. The problem is, because we now all have access to a microphone and a screen, I think a lot of people think they're doing public speaking, and they are, but I wouldn't say they're doing professional speaking, which is where they're getting paid significant amount of money, because they haven't done one of those other things first. And so the ones that are able to make 250K a year, $1 million a year, 8 million a year, are those who have done one of those three things I have just shared. So the way to become a professional speaker is to start there.
Yeah.
But I also think it is beneficial for everyone to grow in your speaking. And the answer to that is a lot easier. And that is, take any opportunity to jump on a podcast, on a Insta Live, or a YouTube collaboration, or do a TikTok duet, or anything that just gets you communicating. Because this is a skill that is highly beneficial. So forget the pressure of making a professional or building a team and building a brand. And we can do that. If there are people who want to be professional speakers, that's a different conversation, because that's the business of speaking. But if you just want to improve in speaking, I would say just get in front of people, make mistakes, fall on your face, totally screw up, but that's how you'll learn. And that's, like even stand-up comedians, they'll try their bits over and over and over again before they do a Netflix special. It may look like the first time that they're on YouTube, on Netflix or something, making a joke, but it's not. They've been practicing that stuff for a year or 2 years on their new content, and a lot of it does not work. And the ones that work, they stick, and that's just how it is with public speaking. So basically, just do a lot of it.
Yeah. No, I have a perfect answer, Dan. And it's also a very good thing. I might just cut this part and send it to all the people that I've invited for the next episodes of OnPoint. I'll just cut the extra, like Dan is saying, join all the podcast invitations you're getting and get on this one, on the next invite that
You
comes
should.
through. But Dan, perfect answer. And I want to lead this and deep dive into, so for the people that have not significantly achieved something, are not the best at something, and they wish to become a public speaker, because I've seen that this is something which has started growing. More and more youngsters want to either be a YouTuber or a motivational speaker, have a stage full of people,
Yeah.
or they want to become a musician. So these are the top trends of things that people want to become. What is your advice for them? Because more than ever, like I think my past podcast, I was discussing this with a guest, that starting a podcast just a decade ago would cost you a minimum of $100,000 more in equipment, and then sponsors and a television spot. And now it's so easy, like just to get connected with the best of people. And looking at that universe that we're living at, what would your advice be for the youngsters?
Find your story or create some substance. One of those two you need to do.
Mhm.
I think it's great. We need more storytellers. We need more encouragers. We need more motivators. I will never say don't do that. But for that, you either have to have a very compelling story, right? There's a reason this episode is titled Facing the Lion, because everyone has faced some level of trauma, disturbance, hurt, pain, loss, devastation, some lion in their life. And I have faced an actual lion. And I'm able to use that story to help others overcome their greatest struggles. So I've got a story that people like connecting with. I, in fact, have multiple stories of being unemployed and then becoming an advisor to the Prime Minister of Ireland. Or, I've got a bunch of these stories that people connect with. The other option is do something of substance. And even YouTubers and influencers are doing that. I see so many great YouTubers that off of some level of notoriety or fame on social media are able to build merch stores, able to get into drop shipping, able to build a mini business, then launch a few others and purchase some cars and resell it, then go into real estate. And before you know it, they've actually built a business empire. So either work on the story or work on the substance, the stuff that will inspire people, that will ask, hey, how come you get to do this? And give me some advice, right? Nobody was asking me when I was unemployed how to overcome unemployment. But once I made it, everybody wanted to know, how do you get successful, right? And so you got to work on either the story or the substance.
That's gems. I think gem of advice. I usually don't get such specific and short, crisp answers from people when I actually, because it usually is a lot of philosophy. But I think this is stunning advice. Thanks for that, Dan. Because I think the value of substance is really important. And I think in the previous conversation when you started off discussing about public speaking, and a lot of people misconceive that they're not learning how to communicate effectively. They're thinking that they're doing public speaking training. And there's a difference. And I think everybody, if they can just fix that one part, like become a very effective communicator, would transform their lives in whatever avenue you are in. It doesn't have to be on the stage. It can be in a single room. And I've personally seen that because I think all of us are somewhere in some shape or form helping others. You will have times where you will have your partners, your friends, complete strangers, which are struggling with something. And a couple of words with the right way of saying things, the right tone of things, and also the right message at the right time would allow you to create an impact in their life. And it can be one story at a time instead of 1,000 people on stage, but you can make that difference. And if somebody starts to strive and do that more often, you'll realize, like, in a couple of months, maybe a couple of weeks in this social media age, one advice, if that clicks, has the right substance, right story, can transform your following and can fill those auditoriums that you want to, like with the audiences that will just line up to come attend your sessions. Perfect segue right now would be, why is this session called Facing the Lion? So Dan, out of all the interesting stories, I think the most compelling one for me was the story when you actually faced a lion. Can you
What?
give us
I
the
faced a
full
lion?
Yeah.
I did?
Oh, it's something that I've actually, seen you share a couple of times on there. But yeah, you gave me a little scare there. But yeah, I would love to know more. I would love to know more about the actual story when you experienced that.
So I was 16 years old when I stared death in the face, like literally in the face. You have to understand that its eyes looked directly into my eyes. Its mouth was drooling with anticipation for its meal. And this was a mighty, mighty animal. Every vein, every muscle poised for an attack. It wasn't your pet dog or a cute hamster or a guinea pig. This was the king of the jungle, the mighty lion. I was living in a small country called Zimbabwe in southern Africa on a school trip when a lion decided to charge us. When the lion charged us, of course, everybody ran. I would like to say that I was very courageous, and in that moment, I stood my ground against the lion, but that's actually not what happened. What happened was my body malfunctioned. My brain was saying, run, 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 run. This is bad news. And my body was like, give up. There's no way of getting out of this. Because at the end of the day, humans just don't win battles against lions. If there's a water body, the lion can still outswim you. If there's a tree, the lion can outclimb you. If there's a stretch of land, a lion can outrun you. And however much you work out, I don't even care if you're Mr. Universe, a lion will rip you to shreds. And so my body's just like, give up, Dan, just fall over and die. Well, at that moment, the guide yelled, stop. And we all stopped. Well, I was already stopped. I wasn't going anywhere. But the rest of my classmates all stopped. And then he gave us the most unusual instruction. So here we are, a bunch of small, scrawny teenagers on a school trip in a environment that we're uncertain, in a situation where the odds are stacked against us, facing a lion. So what do? Your natural instinct is to run, to hide, to cry, to be fearful. But the right thing to do, and the instruction he gave us was take one step forward. What? 2 words? What is going to attack you? Yes. 2 words, what you're fearful of? Yes. 2 words, what can rip you apart? Yes. Just one. Don't run at it. Don't overthink it. You don't need a final destination, just one step forward. And so we did. And we stood our ground. We just stood. And another step forward. And that was the moment at even that young age at 16 that I thought, this is profound, because I may not be able to win this battle, and I may not know how this battle ends. But what I have control over at this moment is one step forward. Because a step away, and certainly a step turning around and running, is certain doom. But one step forward possibly opens some avenues. And so many times in my life, and I've been at crossroads with similar lion type experiences, to me, it's always been about what is the one step that I can take? And more often than not, it has opened some incredible opportunities. And everybody wants to know about that success. How do you build that $1 million business? How do you get that professional speaking gig? How are you and Obama even on the same stage? But really, what I love talking about is the stage that we all find ourselves in. Doesn't matter how successful you are or how comfortable you are, which is what do you do at the crossroads? What do you do when life deals you a bad round? What do you do when you're facing something that scares you, that could rip you apart? And this is where my motto is just start now, start simple. One step. You start now. You can't sit there and negotiate with a lion. You can't call a friend, on a hotline and then talk to the lion about it. You got to start now, and you just got to use what you got. You don't have a gun or a machete or a weapon. You have the power of just your body moving one step forward. So that's where my message of start now, start simple, what you see on my sweatshirt began, is from that terrifying moment facing a real lion in the wilderness of Africa.
Yeah, no, that is so powerful. I learned about that story and I was like, oh my God, I really want to know more and I want to explore more because there's so much learning from that story.
Mhm.
And if you are willing to take one lesson from this and just like you mentioned, like just one step at a time, doesn't matter if you want to, build a home. It's just like Will Smith says, one brick at a time instead of
Yeah.
other stuff. It's really really powerful because what I also think was the unexpected message coming from the guide of take one step forward. I was like, I I think anybody in the world at that time would say this is insane advice. This is sudden death. This is suicide. I
Yes.
cannot overdo this. Everybody has that. I think the inner voice that will always try and question like your ability to face the line, like whatever your struggles are, whatever time in life you are at, whatever are your goals, ambitions, dreams that you think are unachievable right now. If you have the courage to take that one step towards the thing that you have been fearful of or just think that it is deadly, you will be realizing that by every step that you're taking, you're building something. You're building a muscle, you're building courage, you're building that character that will enable you to explore that I would say the greater potential. And I really think that I've seen this real time. in the last 4 years, at least looking at this pandemic from a macro level, where I was, constantly working on polishing my gym, and I was looking at, DanRam exploring, but not even exploring. Like, I was definitely looking forward. I was like, I look at Dan, what he is doing, and how he is gonna, start now, start simple, but also again, every ball that life has thrown towards you, and we're going to discover a few more opportunities with pandemic. How did you come up with the idea? Because I realized the last time we met, you were moving back to India, and you were moving from Ireland. You were doing a lot of gigs in Europe, and all of a sudden you had to move back to India. And even from India, your current multitasking, your global network, your community, and your travel did not happen to stop. So tell me about that journey, and also, where did the idea, or how did the idea of the virtual MC came about? Because you did not just went ahead and did that. I think you exceeded when it came to like giving the bigger brands the avenue that they did not realize. Because I was working at that time with one of the biggest social media giants over here. I had the privilege of working with creators like Watford Whisperers, a few Premier League clubs, and all that. And I think at that time they were all kind of scared when the Olympics got cancelled. Premier League had no audience, no tickets were selling, and then they were like, "How do we take this virtual?" And anybody at that time which was giving them the advice, giving them the ideas, giving them help or value with that transition, they needed that badly. And I think you powerfully enabled that transition for a lot of your partners. And you're still doing that. I personally have seen that a lot of brands are looking at that avenue, and you're providing that value. Can you tell me about that transition back from India and then till now?
Sure. Let me try to distill it down to a couple things that are relevant to those who are watching, right?
Yeah.
So first of all, there is a grieving process, right? When you lose something, when you leave something, it hurts. I'm not going to pretend like it just was like I went from one launch pad to another. Like when I left Ireland, I was devastated. I felt like I'd lost not just opportunities and job, but just family, like friends and community and all of that. And I think you need to take time for that. But then comes a period of kind of exploring the present. And for me, what that meant was throwing things and seeing what sticks on the wall, right? So I love playing the piano. And so I started like playing a lot of piano on Instagram and just seeing what would come of it. I love making puzzles and doing Lego. And so I was doing that every day. I went back to getting really, really fit and playing tennis consistently and sports and working out and playing around with that concept as well. I tried a couple things as far as jobs and opportunities as well. But the one thing I've always loved doing is creating conversation and curating conversation. And even though I couldn't be on stage with the pandemic and all that, the question is, what could I do? And of course, there's the wonderful world of social media. And so I hadn't figured out about StreamYard and all that cool stuff at that point. I just had like Instagram and Facebook, and even LinkedIn had not enabled a video yet. And so just using those platforms, I went on, I think the first one was a Facebook Live. And I went on a Facebook Live at 8 o'clock p.m. And I just wanted to see who was there. And of course, it was a terrible show. It was just me kind of going, what does this thing do and how does it work? I think like a grand total of 7 people watched, which is very humbling because I've done events with 30, 40,000 people. So to have 7 in a room, 7 in a virtual room, I can't even see them, was a major hit. But one thing that's really important is perseverance. You just got to stick with it, Like I didn't just suddenly show up and start playing the piano. Like I took about 15 years of classical training. And then I continue playing the piano even today. I don't just like open a puzzle or Lego for the first time. Like, you start with small puzzles of 20 pieces and then 200 pieces and then 2,000. And the same with this, it's just like, let me just stick around with this and see what happens. And so 7 people. Then the next day I went on Instagram. I think we had like 12 or 13 people. And I was like, I wonder if I can combine these two, because combined I get about 20. So I started Googling options and I found one. And then I realized, wow, you can use things like StreamYard and others. And and create some visuals, and you had a cool countdown before we started. And look on the bottom, you got the sticker that says you can follow us on Instagram. And I was like, man, this is amazing. But I made a decision. I was going to do 40 live shows and just stick with it and then make a call at the end of it. And here's the thing. At the end of the 40, I learned so much just because I dared to start simple. And I didn't just give up. And I built such a community online. I met some great people. And then, with the whole pandemic situation, we decided to do a concert. So I figured out how to do one-on-one interviews. And I thought, let me take it up and see if I can do a concert. And when I did that, that is when some big brands in the US saw that, because it was a benefit concert for nurses. And I had about, I don't remember, 40 or 50 artists from around the world taking part. And that's when they saw that and they said, oh, wow, you can create experiences virtually? Like, we thought we could only do this in a room. And that's when, we had big brands like Bentley and Microsoft, FCA, which is now known as Stellantis, so formerly known as Fiat Chrysler, some big insurance companies all suddenly coming in and being like, damn, let's work together. So the moral of the story is, one, you got to let go of the past. And that involves a bit of grieving and sadness and heartbreak. Second, you got to engage with the present. And the way to do that is throw things at the wall, try every talent, skill, ability, or desire you have, and see what sticks. But don't give up quickly. You got to persevere with it and see what sticks. And number three, when you do that, is you position for the future. Because I had no idea when I started doing Instagram and Facebook that one day I would start upgrading my equipment to better cameras and microphones. I had no idea that from that upgrade, I would eventually invest in my own studio. Then I had no idea when I got my own studio that I'd build a green screen studio where we could do virtual sets. I had no idea then that we'd start hiring graphic designers and others to build these digital assets and media assets that are required. At that point, I had no idea that with the travel, I'd have to build similar studios in Munich and Dubai, and all of a sudden to be back to traveling again, except now between studios. And I had no idea at that point, then I would do hybrid events where I'm simultaneously hosting an event to a physical audience and a digital audience. But this is all about, when you engage with the present and you stick with it, you do position for the future. And you and I, before we even started, we're talking about metaverse. And that's, that's something else. Like right now, I'm just dabbling with a football game in the metaverse, but I have no idea where that goes. Let's see.
Amazing. And there's a lot of dealing with ambiguity in almost everything that an entrepreneur does or an entrepreneur does. I want you to explain your process or thought process behind dealing with ambiguity, because I see that this is one of the biggest challenges that keeps a lot of people locked. A lot of people would say philosophical thing, think outside the box, or do something different. But dealing with ambiguity, I personally think, is not a skill; it's an art, and everybody is a different artist. How do you deal with that?
I think it's a muscle to be exercised. I think you have to start with small things. Start simple, even with ambiguity, and you gotta say yes to things that are outside your comfort zone, and you have to work at it. In some ways, I actually delight in ambiguity because that's, to me, where real growth happens. Real personal development does not happen in the safety net. It does not happen in the known territory. It happens when you step out. That's when you uncover things about yourself you never knew. That's when you unleash your own potential. So to me, it is an exercise it's a muscle that has to be exercised. The practical answer to that is look in your network at things that your friends are doing that you would never dare to do. It could be something silly, like maybe they go bowling once a week and you just absolutely detest it and you just think it's terrible. Or for me, it's like golf. My parents play golf and I'm just like, golf. I'm too young for golf. But it's outside your comfort zone. And so it's like, you know what? Give it a shot. It could be even professionally. Maybe there's some colleagues that have some roles that you would never think are suited to you, but give it a shot. Ask them, hey, can I shadow you for the day? Can I ask you some questions about what your work could look like? Because it does change the paradigm a little bit when you see yourself through different lens. And that only happens when you are in the uncertain and the ambiguous. So I'd say start small with it, but step out of the comfort zone. Before you know it, you'll be flying to countries that you've never heard of, and you'll be meeting people that you never thought are even on this planet, let alone you're collaborating with them, working on projects that sometimes you can't even pronounce. But you don't start there. You start with something small, like a friend saying, "Hey, do you want to do this?" And you're like, "Nah." And you go, "Actually, you know what? Yes, let's go do that. Let's give it a shot." Yeah.
Very well said. And there you have, folks. Look, dealing with ambiguity is literally, as Dan said, it's a muscle that needs to be exercised. Unless people practice creativity, you would not develop that kind of skill set to be more creative. A lot of people tell me like, I don't know how to be more creative, and I'm like, how many different experiences do you go through every year? And they'll say one or two. Maybe like change your, they won't even change the desktop wallpaper for their computers for weeks or months. We're talking about completely, Dan talking about changing not just his surroundings. We're talking about, he mentioned like 170 hotels in a year. We're talking about almost all the airports, and the, conversation, the commute, the the people that he meets throughout those experiences, and collecting those small stories that tap into your brainwaves like throughout that journey. I think that does add a lot to the muscle memory that we're talking about and building that. Then this is great stuff. I will try and continue to explore one step now further. So can you tell us about DanRam today? What was the educational background? And when I say educational background, I'm talking about not just degrees or schooling. I'm talking about your entire education, from your parenting to your brought up, and also, the different experiences that you've had that made the DanRam into what you have become now. And you're
Yeah,
just getting started, as I mentioned.
we're certainly an accumulation of our past experiences, right? So
Yeah.
everything has shaped me, the good and the bad, the highs and the lows. I think some of the things that stand out primarily is that I'm the son of an Indian diplomat, which meant that I was moving countries every 2 to 3 years. Talk about being out of the comfort zone and dealing with the ambiguous. This is the world before Pinterest and Instagram. You couldn't just go online and see what Zimbabwe or Algeria look like. You just have to show up and experience it. The best you could get is go to the library and pick a book like an encyclopedia, which many people today have never even handled, and look up the country and see something that was written 10 years earlier about the country. And that was the most current information you get. So that was really important, but also it's taught me how to work with such diverse people, cultures, languages, attitudes, perspectives, mindsets. And that was really, really powerful as well as a training ground. I went to international school, so diversity and inclusion has always been very important topics to me because it's been my only mode of operating. I've never had another way of being in a homogenous society. After that, I went to the US for the first time. I'm often mistaken for being American, but I'm not. I had this accent a lot earlier because of my education in international schools. But I did an economics degree at Yale, certainly hoping to use it, and then did an MBA at Trinity, also certainly hoping to use it. But I graduated both times during a recession, and that is really a training ground. But ultimately, the greatest school in life for me has been turning into an entrepreneur. I've had the great joy of working for the UN, working for KPMG, working for World Vision, Team Hope, a lot of great charities, non-government organization, consulting groups, and governments. But the greatest of all of them is being an entrepreneur. Nothing has taught me my limits, my abilities, my potential, my fears, my insecurities, my joys more than being an entrepreneur. It really, really stretches you. So I think in recent years, that has been the most defining from a training and education point of view. But honestly, as an introvert, I am constantly observing and learning. I think I spend a lot of time just watching, looking, listening, asking questions, and seeking truth and seeking ways to grow and learn. So, yeah, I think life is about constant learning. And those are some of the salient points along the way that have helped shape me into who I am today.
Thanks, Dan, for sharing that. Look, I am gonna, just touch the point that most of this is going for, OnPoint is a platform that I've created where I'm trying to help out people with the same mindset how you helped me almost 4 years ago. So,
Mhm.
I just arrived in Ireland. I was here like just a couple of months. I just started utilizing the same platforms like the Instagrams, the LinkedIn, the YouTube, and I was like, I'm new in Dublin. I need to connect with people, but being mindful of who I want to connect with. Like I
Mhm.
wanted to know who are the people that are doing things which are not just staying in their comfort zone. And I got connected with yourself. I got connected with Daniel. I got connected with a couple of other young lads, YouTube industry, doing crazy stuff. They're still doing amazing, and that was where I was constantly getting my ideas, but I was lost. And I
Mhm.
think I collected inspiration from your story, Dan's story, Raza's story, and also Aaron's story. Everybody just added to mine, and just provided me a little more guidance. And I think this platform where I'm creating this, I'm asking you all these questions because I'm trying to see where I was at like 4 years ago, and how I can also try and add a little value to all the people that are just starting out in this industry. They don't know where to begin, how to begin, maybe a little spark of inspiration, or ideas like, hey, there will be ambiguity in life. There's
Mhm.
no setting your life away from setbacks, or being uh, just anti-failure throughout your life, because that in fact will be setting yourself for failure, because
Mhm.
the only way you cannot fail is not doing anything in life or
That's
staying
right.
away from action. And that's why I would be getting a bit more into a bit other side of Dan. But just to change things, shake things off, we're now going to go into rapid fire. So I know that you have
I was
one or
looking forward to that. I was really looking forward to that because I've only got a couple more minutes. I was like, I want to play the games.
yes. So this is where things will start getting fun. So let's start with Dan, cell phone camera or a DSLR camera?
Cell phone camera.
Cell phone camera. Okay. When we're talking about Instagram or TikTok,
Instagram.
okay. YouTube or Facebook?
YouTube. What is Facebook?
Oh, that is very good. Okay, let's talk about people in an auditorium or people in a classroom setting.
Hmm. Both for very different reasons. But if I were to pick one right now at this moment, I go at auditorium. I just miss
Amazing.
big crowds of people.
Amazing.
Pandemic.
Talking about audiobooks or real hard shell, hard copy of books.
Hard shell. I've never listened to an audiobook in my life.
Okay. Mentorship and coaching. They're complete different things.
Coaching.
Coaching. We're talking about now beaches or beaches
Beaches.
or how did I forget
Beaches.
this? Sand dunes.
Beaches.
Nice. Okay,
Beaches.
you
Still
that
beaches.
does it. Sunset or sunrise.
Sunset.
Okay, home or hotel.
Hotel.
Okay, uh, vegan or non-veg.
Non-veg.
Okay, and we're talking about vacation with friends or vacation alone.
Vacation with friends.
Okay. And the last question, and these are all, just structured in a way that we know. This will be very, very interesting, but I think I know the answer. Is it red or black or yellow or purple?
What do you think?
It's red and black, but I just wanted to put in my brand colors right here. So just had to add a little thing there. And uh, entrepreneurship with zero experience or with some experience. So just to a
Some
bit of
experience.
context in that is like entrepreneurships. There are a lot of kids that will want to straight in go in with the idea with no experience, no degree, no qualification. There are some that will go into education with some job, some kind of experience, and then jump in. So just wanted to add a little
With experience.
with experience. Brilliant. And now the last one, and that is you. um, this will be very, very interesting. Gary V or Tony Robbins.
Oof. They're such different people for very different reasons.
Yeah.
I'll probably watch more Gary V,
Mhm.
but I probably resonate with more Tony Robbins.
Okay.
But Gary Vee creates more like now with NFTs and metaverse and kind of future trends. It's just interesting
Yeah.
to hear his opinion. Tony Robbins, I think, solves something the world desperately needs, which is self-belief and hope and joy and forgiveness and all of this stuff that's super important. So I say the combination is deadly. But I probably vibe with Tony Robbins more. You know, I think I'm more that person in real life.
That's good. That's good. That was very good. And I think I'm gonna repeat this, and I'm gonna collect on But you did really really well. I think you were set. But guys, in nowhere, shape, or form, I leaked any of this information to Dan in advance. So this was all done in one setting, and Dan was hearing these questions for the very first time. So just letting you know. And now, looking at what we've uncovered so far with Dan is, things like rapid fire. We've discussed his story. We've discussed facing the line. We've discussed start now, start simple. Now we're moving to another interesting round. It's called the interesting stuff. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. I'm going to ask you a question, and you're going to try and pick up from very interesting stories from your experiences. So I'm going to first ask you, what is one of the most interesting questions that you've been asked on stage?
It's probably terrible, but I don't think I've ever been asked an interesting question. I think I've only been asked predictable questions so far. Nothing stands out.
Okay, so I'm going to throw one towards you right now. So next time somebody asks you this question, you're going to say, so Dan, you get a call from Elon Musk, and he says that we have now established our very first base in Mars, and I'm hosting a conference with myself and a few fellow investors for something that we want to do for the future of Mars. What would your pitch be?
My pitch, but he's called me. So why do I have to pitch to him if he has called me?
So he has called you for your idea. So he is someone that has done the part of getting to Mars, getting that venture and the small base done. He doesn't know how to entertain his audiences. I know that he already has somebody that does his planning for him. So you're now the planner. I will tag Elon Musk on this. So it should be a really good pitch.
I would say ultimately, if the vision is as big as Elon wants to make it, and I do believe that he's going to get there because he has all the risk-taking appetite, the funds, and just the self-drive to do that at any cost, then I believe it's about one, building community, which is part entertainment, part education. So it's really important to mix the two together with some experiences that get people excited and not fearful about the future and about technology and about life on Mars. Second, I would say that we should use it to test and pilot the most exciting new things. Let's not think planet Earth replicated on planet Mars. Let's completely rethink everything on how we do things. This is a clean slate. And so I would say get every young entrepreneur, college student, anyone that is unrestricted, unhindered in their thinking to come and be part of completely redesigning what the future looks like. I mean, completely. And so that would be my second is who gets invited. So we answered what we do. The second is who we do that with. And finally, I would say yes, we should obviously do a massive launch, but I would also pitch to him that we should do a weekly town hall, virtual in the metaverse, where we get people together and just get great ideas and great concepts and put them through some accelerators and give them some funding. But let's make this a weekly conversation, not just a one-off conversation about the future of life on Mars. That would be my pitch.
Amazing.
And of course, I'd bring my band. So
amazing stuff. Elon, if you're listening, the Boring Company needs this kind of work. Okay, we're not just launching empty rockets without any ambition. We're talking about something that needs to be done. Mission should be more in depth, and I think you should definitely get in touch with Dan. Dan, it was also a powerful but a very beautiful answer. The way you said that we're starting with a clean slate. I think that was very powerful, and I think this is something that a lot of the younger generation gets the fault for. Should not be, because they have gotten the world in the state that they have, and most of the time it is them being blamed for, look, there are people that are doing this or doing that, or they're overbuying or something. They didn't create any of this. I think they have been solving a lot of things very creatively. We have some very talented people around, and that becomes like the perfect segue for another interesting subject. It's, what is one of the most interesting projects that you've seen some youngsters work on in the last 12 months?
There's so many interesting things. I've seen everything from making food out of air. That's true. I've seen some really great ideas around climate change and what we can do to solve that. I've seen some really beautiful ideas around logistics and improving. I mean, I was pitched an idea just yesterday on Amazon packages. I mean, who hasn't received a big box from Amazon with endless amounts of plastic and cardboard and air for a very small actual product? And I saw some kind of statistic that almost half of a truck is just air and packaging. It's not even, items. And so what they did is customize packaging. So I'm actually in a very fortunate position as an investor and as someone in part of accelerators to hear really great ideas. Plus, I'm in college. And so at my university, we do a lot of deep technology, and it's really, really, really interesting. So yeah, I mean, those are just some of it. Obviously, the things in the metaverse right now are really interesting as well, although it's certainly a bubble, but it's just interesting to hear what could be done possibly. So yeah, there's so much. This is a great time to be an entrepreneur. There's so much to be created and developed and explored.
And it's something one of my mentors keeps saying, like, if you're not part of the solution, you're actually part of the problem. So it's either one way or the other. And guys, if you know the solution to something, the world is your oyster. There's never lack of investment. There's never lack of opportunity. It's just the idea that you need to pitch needs to be valuable. Last segment, Dan, and then we're going to close towards it. And this will be my buddy, the cards. So you're going to pick one option. So we have 6 options. You can skip one, but you have to, pick one card from each segment. One is entrepreneurship. One is random.
Okay.
One is the future. One is the past. And then we have self and relationships. So pick anyone to start with.
Let's start with self.
So let's start with self. So over to the self card.
Pick a hard one. Don't make them
nice.
Easy.
Then the words that describe you. I think this is very simple. It was supposed to be the hard one, but I think these are going to be some things that we're very sure of. Words that describe DanRam.
I would say positive, energetic, loving, a leader.
That's great. And then moving on to the next segment. That will be...
Sorry, keep going. We had some internet issues, but we're back.
No problem. So the future or the past? Next segment. Which one do you pick?
I'm going to go with future.
Let's pick up the future. Where do you want to travel in the next 5 years?
Really want to go to Japan. I'm fascinated by Japan and also South America because that's where my sister lives.
That is great. And after the future, do you want to travel back to the past?
Sure. Let's do past.
Reasons you are not where you wanted to be. This is a question from the past.
Mistakes that I've made in my life, failures to persevere, and quitting too early. I'd say these are some of the reasons that there are some areas of emptiness or loss in my life is probably
Mhm.
one of these two things.
Okay. Then now comes the last two from the three. So we have random, entrepreneurship, and relationship. Which two do you pick?
Random and entrepreneurship.
So let's pick up random and entrepreneurship. Let's start with random. Products you use every day.
Well, the phone is probably the object I get used the most.
Mhm.
Second, I would say is my laptop and my gear around the laptop. So I guess a lot of techie stuff. I don't know how to cook, so really no kitchen items get ever used. Although I'm a big fan of our coffee machine and our carbonator for the water. And other objects that I use, probably the basketball. Yeah, those
Nice,
are.
nice, nice. Thanks to my buddy. I think this deck actually really helped me close this session on a very high because the last question is also one of the best lessons that took you the longest to learn.
Oh, wow. That is a good question. That's deep as well. I guess it's the ones that I'm still learning because, I've been with myself for 35 years now. And yeah, I would say this is more on the personal level, but the lessons that took long to learn are super fundamental. Like when I say it, I think people are going to be like, that makes sense, Dan, but for me, it didn't. So one, um, you don't need people to compliment or approve your work. I think for a long time, especially being born to Asian parents, I really felt that my work needed to be noticed or to be celebrated or approved. Like I never studied for myself, I studied for my parents' approval. I never went to piano classes because I personally was passionate about it. It was just because my parents paid for it and they forced me to go. And it took me a very long time to learn to do things just for myself and not for others to notice or celebrate it or to approve of it. Second, accomplishments do not define you. At the end of the day, I need to go to bed and be comfortable with myself. At the end of the day, I got to wake up and look in the mirror and be happy about the man I see on the other side. And these have nothing to do with accomplishment. So that would be the second thing. I'd say the third thing is that I am loved even when I don't feel it. As a single person going through life, sometimes it's easy to look at married couples or partners or lovers and go, oh, they are loved. But actually, I have great friends and community, and people notice what I'm doing, and they care for me, even if they are not in a relationship with me. And it took me a long time also to know that I am loved, even when I don't feel it or receive it. But people do love me. So I'd say those are like two or three things that have taken me a very, very long term time to learn.
Wow, very powerful, Dan. Thanks for that. I believe these are very honest and powerful answers, and I think everybody for everybody there's like a lot of lesson to learn because look, even born to Asian parents, I think this is the last point I resonate did last 2 points I resonated a lot because I think a lot of us are doing stuff on a daily basis, but we're
Mhm.
looking for the outside world to give us the liking, the acknowledgement, the self check-in rather than just saying to yourself that you did it for yourself. You're taking steps on a
Yes.
daily basis to go out and face your biggest, I would say, fears, and that is what you're doing for
A
yourself.
lion.
Yeah, you're facing your lions on a daily basis. But Dan, thank you very much for this amazing conversation on Monday night. I know that it has been valuable for myself and all the audience members. I am super glad that you did take time. I know you're super busy and you're also launching multiple new programs. Would you like to also tell my audience on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube about your new program and how they can get connected with you?
I love serving people. I am not in this for me. I love seeing people grow and develop. I love celebrating people as they win, and that is genuine. If you follow me on social media, you know that. When you DM me, you receive a response directly from me. not a bot, not an assistant. And yes, I have a team, and yes, they're busy and active, but I respond to every single person. I leave voice notes, I send messages. People ask me all kind of questions like how to find my purpose, how to improve my public speaking, and I give them all personal responses. I genuinely am meant to help people because I'm here on the shoulders of people that supported me. And if I can be that for you, I will. And there's a couple ways I do that. One, follow me on social media. Just look up Dan Ram or at I am Dan Ram. I'm on everything, including TikTok recently. So you can find me there as well. And this is one way to get in touch with me. And I really mean get in touch. Don't just watch me, like engage, like comment, DM me, share the stuff, because I actually connect with people there and I will pick up a conversation with you. You don't have to do anything to impress me or prove yourself or have a great idea. Just say hi and we'll start conversing. The second thing is I love like actually meeting people. And obviously we can't do that in a pandemic in real life. So I just every other Thursday do a mastermind where, you know, we have a group of people that want to develop in their speaking skills, want to develop in their negotiation, communication, body language, expressions, articulation, creativity. These are all super important at work and at home. And so I do a session that is paid, but I thought, you know what? Why not? I do one session for free where I pay for it. So each session is usually €100. And so this is my €100 gift to whoever is interested. Is I'll pay for you to join my session totally for free. And we're going to learn in 60 minutes how to look and feel 10 times more confident. Like I'm not only interested in you looking and fake it till you make it. I actually want you to feel it. I'm going to unlock that for you. And I just need 60 minutes. And it's super simple. All these things you just find on my website, iamdanram.com. If you want this €100 voucher for the free mastermind, just look up iamdanram.com/mastermind. And there should also be a button on the website that says that. So, and if all else fails, write to me and I'll personally send you a link and guide you through it. But I'd like to meet you, and whoever has been listening for the last hour and participated, thank you for being a part of the conversation. And thank you for supporting this OnPoint podcast and conversation. And yes, if I can support you in your journey, please do reach out.
Thanks a lot for this, Dan. It has been my honor. It has been a humble pleasure to host you again, get connected with you, and also join you. And hopefully, I will want you to come back when we've hit our 100 podcast. We're a long way away from that, but my goal is to achieve that the end of 2022. And I wanted you to be one of the pillars of starting on this mission. And because it is on the philosophy of starting now, starting simple, and then I'm gonna get you invited back and finish our year on the high. So thanks a lot for all the people that have connected, for Absar, Huntsman, Rajat, Abhijit, Saad, all the people that have commented. I'm gonna post this after this on all our multimedia channels. Stay connected, stay blessed, take care of yourself. Bye.